Good morning, everybody. I'm honored to be here this morning, and I'm honored to be selected as the next majority leader of the Minnesota State Senate. And those of you who know me know that I'm more of a behind-the-scenes kind of guy and have not done many press conferences, but happy to answer questions. So we'll just go right into questions.
Why the heck did you want the job?
My wife asked me the same question. No, I'm committed, and Senate Republicans are committed to continuing to work together toward positive solutions for the people of the state of Minnesota. We have a tremendous amount of talent within the Senate Republican caucus, and I'm certainly not the only one that could be standing up here today because of the amount of talent that we have. But I did it because I know that I have the opportunity to unite our caucus and at the same time work together with colleagues on both sides of the aisle in both the House and the Senate to get good things done for the people of the state of Minnesota.
Senator Gazelka had developed a really pretty good working relationship with Speaker Hortman over the years, even if they didn't see eye to eye on things, could come together for agreements. What kind of relationship do you have with her, DFL leaders in the House now, and how are you going to approach that?
Speaker Hortman and I have a very good relationship, and I look forward to continuing to develop that relationship as we look forward to hopefully a special session and then the 2022 legislative session after that. She was one of many who sent me a congratulatory text this morning, so have a good working relationship with her and look forward to continuing to develop that relationship.
When you came into the Senate, you were a leader of the Purple Caucus, and you wanted to work across the aisle. So how are you thinking now about being the leader of the Republican Caucus, and how do those two positions kind of gel for you?
Sure. So my biggest frustration at the Capitol, especially, I'll be going on my 12th year as a member of the Senate, and one of my biggest frustrations is how negative the political divide and how divisive the political divide has gotten. It seems to have gotten worse every year that I've been here, and I don't think it has to be that way. There can certainly be disagreements on issues. There are going to be disagreements on issues. That's the way democracy works. But I feel that we can work through those disagreements in a respectful manner, and that's what I hope to accomplish as the next Senate Majority Leader.
Senator, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about your decision-making here. Obviously, Senator Gazelka had been mulling a run for governor for a few months, and I understand that there was some talks about who might take over, but curious if you were recruited into the role. Like, did you have any plans to run for re-election before your colleagues selected you majority leader? Just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your decision-making process here.
Sure. I wouldn't say I was recruited to run for majority leader. I had several of our members ask me to consider doing so I don't know if you consider that recruited or not. But again, I share the vision of so many of our members that we just want to come to the state capitol. We just want to get good things done for the people of the state of Minnesota. I feel like I'm well positioned to work within our caucus as well as with members across the aisle to get that done, including the governor. So that's what went into my decision-making process. Again, there are a number of members in our caucus that are qualified to do this position, some probably more qualified than me. But what I can tell you is we're a strong caucus, we're a united caucus, and we're ready to continue to get good things done for the people.
Where do you stand on Senator Abler's suggestion that Commissioner Malcolm needs to go?
So I will share that there are serious concerns about Senator Malcolm or Commissioner Malcolm that we've heard from constituents, but I'll also say that it's an ongoing conversation within our caucus, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But as far as the frontline worker pay goes, and a potential special session, which they've been somewhat connected, at least the governor has connected them. I will say that I had a very good conversation last night with Senators Housley and Kiffmeyer, and my understanding is The working group is very close to an agreement on eligibility requirements for the frontline workers for the $250 million that's been allocated in a bipartisan way. So I'm hopeful that the governor will call a special session once an agreement is reached. Hopefully that agreement will be reached very soon. And we're committed to coming in for a special session and getting those dollars out to the frontline workers as quickly as possible.
Are you willing to commit to not firing any commissioners during that special session, keeping that special session narrow, even if concerns about Malcolm or others?
We're not ready to make that commitment at this time.
What about drought relief? The governor has mentioned wanting to pass some drought relief. Is that something that might be part of this next special session?
I have not had any conversations with the governor regarding anything at this point, but I look forward to having those discussions, and if that's something that the governor would like to pursue, we certainly have members that would work on it together with the governor and his administration to address that issue.
Senator, what was your pitch to your caucus for selecting a majority leader? I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about how you envision the path forward for retaining the majority in next year's elections. We've got redistricting happening now. Just curious what sort of vision you laid out for your colleagues.
Sure. So going into the 2022 legislative session, redistricting clearly is one of the major issues that we're going to be discussing along with bonding. And what I shared with our caucus is a clear path forward. Another issue that we're going to try to address in 2022 is an issue that we're hearing about from many, many Minnesotans, and that's the increase in crime rates throughout the state of Minnesota. So our caucus is committed to working towards solutions with stakeholders, including law enforcement, on ideas that provide law enforcement the support that they need to hold non-law abiding individuals accountable for their actions. And again, this is something that we're hearing from constituents across the board, so that'll be another issue along with redistricting and bonding that we look at in 2022.
How are you feeling about leaving the role of Senate President, and when will a new Senate President be elected, and can you speculate on who that may be?
It's bittersweet. I thoroughly enjoyed my role as Senate President, and I'm going to miss that role. So it is a bittersweet moment leaving that position. We plan to select a new Senate President prior to the special session.
Senator, can I take you back to special session, because you've got a job to do now. In the next month, it sounds like you've got to negotiate with the governor as to how a special session will be held, and then you've got to hold that agreement with a membership. It seems like he won't call you back if you're not committed and able to deliver on a commitment to not take up commissioners. You can't hold that decision, at least beyond negotiations with the governor. So how are you going to deal with that? And I know you don't want to say what the caucus position is yet, or you at least want to hold out on that. But if the governor's not going to call you back unless you commit to that, why are we still talking about a special session?
What I'll share is I look forward to having conversations with the governor regarding a special session. I think it's incredibly important, and Senate Republicans are committed to distributing the $250 million that was allocated in a bipartisan manner to the workers who are on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. So that's our commitment. We want to get that money out. We made an agreement to do that. As far as the other details, I can't comment on that until I have further discussions with the governor.
Can you comment on an issue that's emerged since you guys adjourned, which is the Texas abortion law that maybe is something that the Supreme Court would allow to stand, and whether you think your caucus would attempt to adopt something like that come January?
That has not been discussed within our caucus at this point in time.
But you didn't mention it when you listed the issues of 2022.
I did not, because it's not something that we've talked about to this point.
Senator, I'm curious if you could, just tell us how your leadership as majority leader might be different from Senator Gazelka. Like, how do you envision working with the governor? I know that they were often at odds on things like the pandemic response and a few other issues. But curious how you envision being majority leader?
Sure, I plan to work together with the governor, Speaker Hortman, and members of the House and Senate on both sides of the aisle in a very straightforward and respectful manner. As I mentioned earlier, there are going to be disagreements on issues, but what's often not highlighted are the many agreements that are on the different issues that we have. So we'll work through the disagreements, but my hope is that we can do that in a respectful manner.
If there's a special session, can you do a majority leader vote at that time, or does that have to wait until next regular session?
I believe it's a resolution for majority leader, and my understanding is that would be done at a special session.
So does this mean you're going to be running for re-election in your Senate district next year?
My plan, it is next year already, isn't it? Holy smokes. Yes, the plan as of right now is to run for re-election.
All right.
Wait, as of right now, what could change that? What could change that plan?
I'm planning to run for re-election. I'm not running for Congress. I'm not running for governor. I've been approached, and so the plan is to run for re-election in 2022.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yes, anyone.
Just let them know.
Yeah, I'll